All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Thermal Gard Podcast. We're really excited about today's guest. We are bringing you Josh Unterbrink from the Lima County Chamber of Commerce. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate you having me on the program and discussing the chamber and all the things that we do.
Yeah, we're excited. And, per usual, we got Austin right here, co-piloting, producing this whole thing. And then we got Emily back again today. Excited to have her back. So without further ado, let's just get started. Josh, could you just kind of introduce yourself, kind of where you're at currently, and then we'll kind of start from the beginning of the story.
So I grew up right here in the Lima County region, actually outside of Bluffton and Columbus Grove,
Okay.
but really spent a lot of time in Lima when we were thinking about where are we going to go to the movies? Where are we going to go to the mall? Where are we going to go to eat? We used to go to Squirty Worm a lot, and there was a lot of things that date myself a little bit. But Lima was really the heart of it all for us when we were growing up, and really the place for entertainment, for recreation, and for really fun and connections. And so always loved Lima, and really to have an opportunity after growing up in Bluffton, like I said, graduating high school, moving away to college, having a few jobs, outside of the region. It was a pleasure to have an opportunity back in 2006 to come and work for the Lima Family YMCA as Health and Wellness Director. I was really blessed to be called by Bill Blewett, the CEO at the time, to say, hey, we found your resume on a stack of applicants from a previous position that we thought you were overqualified for. And he said, you know what, but we've got a job opening that we think you'd be perfect for. Would you be open to that? And so I was actually at a point where I had a job offer from Chase in Columbus and the Lima Family YMCA Health and Wellness Director position. And so I was really at a fork of the road of my career. And my dad has some health issues. And so it really became a no-brainer to come back closer to home, to be able to support, and help my family when able, and to really start growing roots back here again in Lima and Allen County. So thank goodness to that decision that was made, because I've had just a tremendous amount of success, happiness, and growth here in the Lima region, really thanks in part to the YMCA, but also through the chamber. So early on in 2006, the YMCA leadership there by Bill Blewett and Terry Averish, who is still there, really encouraged us staff to get out and get involved in the community. So we would go to chamber networking events, we would go to Wake, Rattle, and Roll, and it really allowed me to connect with our community, to meet other professionals, both my age, older and younger, and found that there's a lot of people trying to do great things here in Lima, Allen County. Fast forward a couple months into 2006, and I actually attended my first Lima Young Professionals event. Believe it or not, it was hosted in Walpaw, Connecticut, at a business down there at the time. But from that first YP meeting, I met friends that I'm still friends with to this day and colleagues with. And so the chamber started playing a role in my career early on. Now, I had a tremendous time at the YMCA. We were able to develop some really great programs. We saw some membership levels really peak at that point. We were leading some World Service programs, which allowed us to take students to South Dakota to stay in Native American reservations and really see what service looks like in our community. Tremendous race series with the QP Triathlon and so many great programs that the YMCA has to offer. Well, we also had an opportunity to really start addressing some community health there at the Lima Family YMCA. And through that, we developed Activate Allen County, which is a community health collaborative, which is really trying to keep those health-related issues at the forefront for our community. Because when we look at, a place where people want to live, where they want to start a business, where they want to relocate business, we need healthy, educated workforce. And so it starts by providing that healthy choice and making it the easy choice for those that want to make it. Because we also believed in liberty at Activate Allen County, and we still believe that. If someone wants to make an unhealthy choice, that's their choice as an American. We're not here to tell them how to live, but we want people to have the education level and the ability to make that healthy choice, regardless of where they were born, how much money they have in their pocket, what church they might go to. Mm-hmm. So um, through that work, Activate Allen County got to a place where the YMCA said, we started a great initiative here, but you've kind of grown to a place where you might need to find a new home. And they were kind enough to allow us to shop that initiative, and the Lima Chamber Foundation became an ideal home for Activate Allen County.
Interesting.
And so, yeah.
So I want to back you up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the early days, at the YMCA, it's your first kind of adult job out of college. It
was my third. It was my third job out of college.
Third
but
job
yeah.
out of college. What were your first two?
Yeah, so my first position was sports director at the Bluffton Family Recreation Center. And then followed that, I was an assistant manager for Victory Fitness Centers in Columbus, Ohio. It was a for-profit health and wellness chain. And I'll just be very honest, I did not enjoy that experience. I had owners that didn't always want to do what I felt was ethically right in the workplace, and didn't always deliver on the things that we said we would do. And one of the things I believe in, if we say that you're going to do something, you do your best to do it.
Right.
And they were asking us to do some things with clients that I didn't feel incredibly comfortable with. So I actually started applying for some positions, and I had a job offer to Chase in Columbus and at the Lima Family YMCA, like I mentioned.
Right.
And so I had a difficult decision to make at that time, and there was a real pull to come back closer to home. My family is, still pretty close between Bluffton and Columbus Grove. And so with some health issues that my dad has, it was ideal for me to come back here. And I really felt a pull to do community-based work. And so, I made the right decision by choosing the Lima Family YMCA, I can tell you that.
Sure. So what did you learn, and how did you develop personally after leaving that job in Columbus that you had some reservations about?
Well, I learned a lot about professionalism and how to handle yourself with clients and public facing. So there were some things that were done from a financial standpoint at the clubs in Columbus that I didn't always appreciate. There were barriers in between the finance department and the customers. And so I thought real hard about what customer service should look like and how to respect the customer, because I think the customer, not that they're always right necessarily, but you need to listen to them and consider whatever they say, because they're probably coming from a place of care. And, sometimes some folks don't want to listen to that. We think we know best. But I think it's important to listen to that customer, meet them where they're at, and deliver on the promise of the services and goods that we laid out to them. And so that was a big lesson for me from that transition.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned you want to come back, you want to work in the community, you want to be community focused. Where do you think that came from?
Well, for me, I grew up in scouting. I was a member of the church growing up in Bluffton, the St. Mary's Catholic Church. And I think there's always a push to serve, right? To do and to walk the path that is not always easy, but is right. And I don't always do that. I haven't always done that, but I've strived to do that. And I think that comes from my family. We're somebody that, my dad was always one to volunteer coaching. When my dad got sick, my mom had to give up being a mother at home and go into the workforce in her 30s, which was not difficult or not easy to do. And so I've really had a good basis of folks that care and are willing to do whatever it takes for those that are in your family and your broader network. And so it's come naturally. And I think early on in my life, it was instilled for us to take care of ourselves and to make sure that we're doing the right things, doing the hard work that will make us successful. And so it really started with my parents. I have 3 sisters that are exceptional people that are tremendous workers, caring people that give back in all ways of their lives. And so it was really something that was just instilled in us from day one.
Awesome. So, now you've been working in the community for almost 20 years. That's what you're coming up on, which is a huge accomplishment. That's awesome. What would you say to maybe somebody in high school or college right now that, their heart is in the community. Maybe they want to do nonprofit work or, something to that effect, but they're kind of concerned about the financial side of things, because typically the pay is a lot different than if you go into a for-profit business or something like that. So what would you say to somebody where that's where their heart is, but they're really struggling with all the logistics of it?
It can be a real challenge because it's a double-edged sword, like you said. Some folks will say, make that money, and that's how you're going to make the biggest impact, right? Go down a career path that's going to provide you the finances then to provide to charities and things like that. But some folks, they want to give all of their heart and their soul to nonprofit work. What I would recommend is start volunteering now. When you're young, you have the opportunity to work for free. Which you're typically not going to have that opportunity later in life, right? Just as an adult, you have responsibilities. But as a young person, you have a chance to really get that exposure and that experience. And so the more that you can sign up for leadership programs, to take, short trips to other communities to give back, to see what nonprofit work is really like, it is really the best way to see if it's a good fit for you. Talk to leaders in those positions and talk to them about their path. A lot of times, folks didn't think they'd be in that position to be a nonprofit leader earlier in their career. It was something that fell into their lap naturally, or a cause that became very important or dear to them. So I would also encourage folks to follow their passions, but they in the same breath, sometimes doing your passion as your career sometimes can kind of deaden that passion into you. So make sure that you are volunteering, getting that experience when you're early while you can, and you're going to find out whether or not that's something that's going to fit for you in the long term. But without that experience, I think a lot of people job bounce, today in 2025 because we don't know what we want to do. It takes a long time to figure out who we are. And sometimes it's, you're 30, 35 before you really realize what you can be successful at, what environment helps support that, and what kind of person or people you need to surround yourself with. Sometimes, I think when we're early in life, it's difficult to do what's right, or to, go to your friends that you grew up with to say, I want to take a different pathway than maybe some of you. And that can be a challenge. And so have the courage of your convictions, get out there, connect with the communities you want to make a difference in, and see if it's a good fit for you. And you'll realize pretty early whether or not that's going to be a good fit.
Awesome. That's great advice. So I guess kind of take us into the next portion, of your career and how you developed. So you went from the YMCA to Activate Allen County. And what were just some things you learned there?
Well, I learned a lot about developing boards, committees. I guess I've had an opportunity to be involved in a lot of different groups in our community and nonprofits, from our Allen County Bike and Pedestrian Task Force, which I was the chair of for 11 years, to working with even things like Keep Allen County Beautiful, and my work at PASS, my work at WOCAP has really allowed me to see how to build coalitions and to get folks to think of the big picture, right? So we all can get into our silos, and each nonprofit, for-profit business can pretty simply fall into, this is what I'm doing, this is what success looks like for me, and to not look at collaboration and how we fit into a bigger, broader puzzle of making our community a better place to live, learn, worship, and play for all. And so I've been able to kind of develop skills, I think, to talk to folks about what their pain points are, what they want to see, and how to share a collective vision, which can be difficult. But I think it's important that we all kind of see the long-term vision of what we're working for. And so that was something that really helped develop in me through that work at Activate, building our executive council, and maintaining those partnerships and recruiting new partners, new supporters, new sponsors. That's transitioned well into my work now at the Chamber.
Awesome. When you mentioned a lot of experience with boards. sitting on boards, being chairman. What do you look for when you're looking for a board member? Just generally, are there character traits? Is there experience? What do you look for?
So it's all of that. So depending on what role you're looking to fill on the board, you might need somebody that is an expert in finance. It may be somebody that's expert in strategic planning. It may be somebody that's in community development. Depending on what board you're looking at, you're going to have different roles that you need to fill. But I want folks that care about the organization first, are willing to share their knowledge, skills, and connections, and be vocal, both proponents of the organization, but vocal when things aren't working well. Because the last thing that any board needs is passive board members that just come, show up to a meeting, say yes, yes to everything, and leave. We want folks that are connected to the organization, that really understand what we're doing, both at the chamber, or be it at WOCAP or PASS or any of the groups that I'm currently involved with. We need them to share their skills, their resources, and their capabilities. And so when it comes to chamber, there are different roles. I want private business, small business owners represented there. I want some education sector represented, because it's important to have that as well. I need some of the corporate interests from our larger tier members represented on that board. So it's really a diverse pocket of really our membership, and I want to be representative of that as well as of our community. So it's important for us to strive to really have board representation that are willing to work, support the organization, let us know when we can do things better, and then can also, like I said, represent the folks that they are part of, in the groups and the organizations and demographics that they represent.
Awesome. So I guess kind of take us through then Activate Allen County, and then your kind of transition period into where you're at now.
Yeah, so Activate went through a period of being really grant funded by some large federal grants. And so back in 2017, when we were still housed at the Lima Family YMCA, our grants were coming to an end. And the Lima Chamber Foundation and Jed Metzger at that time said, we really love the work that you're doing. It supports a lot of the livability issues that the chamber is focused on. Would you guys be interested in becoming part of the Chamber Foundation and chamber employees? And we had a couple other offers from a couple other agencies. But for us, it was a no-brainer to connect with the chamber and to fall under that chamber umbrella. Because of the connections and the all the things that the chamber represents throughout our community, but also for the business connections, right? And I think it's so important to have our business community at the forefront of health and wellness, because when we're looking at recruiting and attracting those new businesses, we need a healthy, educated workforce. And so at that time, we became privately funded by a number of for-profit, nonprofit, and government entities, and we continue to be so today. So that was in October 2017. When Jed decided that he was going to take the next step in his career and retire as CEO and president of the Lima Chamber of Commerce, I didn't necessarily initially think of applying. I was pretty happy with the work that was being done at Activate. I'm still proud of the work that's still continuing there. But quite frankly, there was a couple board members that asked if I had considered it. And I said, well, no, I really haven't, but I will. Coming from you, and I went and I had a lot of meaningful talks with my wife and family about what that opportunity would look like. And after careful consideration, decided to go for it, and was lucky enough to be selected after kind of a long process. And so then, starting in January 1st of this year, started my tenure. So this 8 months has gone very fast, but I can just say that it's been an honor and a privilege of my life to be leading this team. The Lima Chamber of Commerce has a tremendous amount of skill in our employees, our board members, and our committee members. And so it has been just a wonderful 8 months, and really looking forward to what the next segment of my career here at the Lima Chamber looks like.
Yeah. So you said it wasn't originally on your radar. They came to you like, hey, you should look into this. What was that initial conversation like with your wife when you went home and told her?
It's like, hey, so I'm thinking about this big step. It would require probably some additional weekends and nights, some earlier mornings, some sacrifice, from her. And I have a young son who will be 4 in a month and a half, and um, what that would look like for us. Because let's be honest, when you do any position or any job for a number of years, you can kind of fall into a groove where you know what to expect. Things are kind of easy, but that's not what life is about. Life is about growth, and sometimes there's challenges. And so we just kind of looked at where we were with our lives and where we wanted to go into the future. Um, and I couldn't believe I never thought of it before, right? I guess I just saw Jed as somebody who was just a stalwart in our community. I didn't know when Jed was really going to retire, or, if he really wanted to at the time. So when we finally made that decision, it was a full go. It was all gas, no brakes at that point, and haven't looked back. And so far it's been, one of the greatest decisions of my life. I think deciding on that Chase and Lima Family YMCA position was one big fork in the road, and this was another one. And so just thrilled to be where we're at today.
Yeah. With that transition, stepping into those shoes as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, what was that like, feeling like you had to, step up and kind of fill in that position?
Well, there's a slight bit of anxiety there. But I really wanted to do a great job, and so I don't like to run from hard work. I like to take on a challenge whenever possible, and I really see this as a challenge. Right? It was a step up to manage a staff of 11 full-time employees. It was something I hadn't done in a while, not since my Lima YMCA days, and so. When I think about our Lima community and the tremendous businesses that make up the chamber membership, it was a no-brainer to apply, right? And I just started thinking about the great people that I've had an opportunity to work with, prior to being in this role, and the folks that make up the leadership positions at the chamber, the folks that you meet at a Wake Island Roll or a golf outing, and I was like, this would be an amazing position. And when I thought about some of the skills that I do have, sometimes I would say I'm kind of over humble sometimes, but I do have some skills that I think lend myself well to the position, and I do believe I'm a good coalition builder, and I can see the good in all people. I like to treat people the same regardless of their walk in life, and be it a CEO at a company or maybe an unhoused person on the street, I think everyone deserves respect, and so I try to bring that with me every day at the chamber, and we just have a tremendous community here of business leaders, and it's been a great fit, and I'm just so happy to be part of the chamber.
Yeah. Aside from amazing employees, what is your best advice for somebody who is managing people and over people?
So listen to them, right? So I think one of the things that I try to do is manage folks where they want to be. Everybody has different personalities. Everybody has different ways that they should be supported to be their best possible selves, be it at work, at home, you name it. And so I really try to meet people where they're at, and not be overly rigid on how we manage time and expectations. I like my staff to be involved in conversations around personal development, professional development, budgets, and department goals. And I also like to have SMART goals built in, so we're measuring those and having open dialogues. In my career, I feel like if there was ever an opportunity that we had to move on from an employee, that I had a large stake in why that employee wasn't working out. I think from a management standpoint, it's important to set clear expectations and to follow up on those, so that there's never a question over whether or not an employee is doing well, because they're going to know that each and every day. And I like to have open and honest conversations and very transparent expectations for staff. And if you do that, people are going to respect you regardless of the decisions that are made. And people like to have, a feeling that people care, that they care about you and that they're vested in you. Because we're only as good as the people behind us. Any leader of any organization has a duty to, keep the ship moving in the right direction. But that also means supporting your employees and having them understand your vision, your mission, your long and short-term goals, and so that we can all keep moving into that same continuum.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing advice. I guess what has been one of the most rewarding things so far stepping up as the president and CEO?
Programs like yesterday's golf scramble, seeing our golf outing, to see the happy faces of the participants, to see happy sponsors, and to get that good feedback. Because you know what it takes is it takes the full team. It's all hands on deck, and that's one of the approaches that I also tout to our staff is if there's an issue, we all need to address it. We're going to celebrate everyone's successes because it's a full all hands on deck approach. When it comes to something like a annual awards gala, our annual breakfast, or like I said, our golf outing, it's something where our team comes together and they all play important roles, and we couldn't do it without any one of those folks. So it's just been so rewarding to see the team continue to be motivated, to elevate each other, and to have a real laser focus on the work to make the chamber the best possible place for our members.
Awesome.
Your old window cleaner is trash. Ditch it and get Dudley on duty. It's what the pros use.
Awesome. I guess I kind of want to put you on the spot for a second.
Surely.
Out of your whole career, was there like a really, really difficult or dark time? What was it? How'd you pull through, and what'd you learn from it?
So I will just say there was a difficult time where during one of our QP triathlons, we had an injury where a gentleman was in a bicycle crash and did have some head trauma. And to think about the things that we might have done differently, was it something that could have been prevented? Even though after you do all your due diligence, there was nothing we could have done differently. All of our safety procedures were in place. But to have someone have a serious injury in an event that you're ultimately in charge of was caused some sleepless nights, and a lot of care and concern went into making sure that would never happen, or if we could prevent it from not ever happening again. So we've also had some instances where we've had to perform CPR and things like that. So there's been like real crisis moments that happen, and I think anybody that spent any time at a YMCA over a number of years will have similar stories. But there's been some real just difficult days like that. We haven't been faced with major financial crisis where I think in 2007, 2008 we were able to weather those storms at the YMCA. And so I've just been proud of whatever the economy, the world's politics have brought to us, that the Y, the chamber, Activate Allen County have weathered those storms, and we'll be here well after I'm dust. So we will always take on adversity and rise above it.
So the advice, just keep going.
Yeah. Just plug through it. Keep your eyes on the prize. To kind of try to keep that 1,000-yard vision, and not let the moment take you off that path.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned like time of crisis, working through it. What was it like during COVID, working in the nonprofit space and kind of helping navigate with all the businesses and everything else going on?
It was a really tough time, and I think from a business standpoint, it was really detrimental to the health of so many of our local businesses. We've really been also dragging ourselves out of a disconnected point, I think, from COVID. Folks stopped volunteering in a lot of ways, right? So I hear from a lot of leaders in our community that just people coming out to events, programs are only now really starting to recover. And I think for a lot of young folks, that if they missed their high school graduation and things like that, they want to take those experiences, I hope, and continue them throughout their life, and to connect with people in person. And so we've just had to rebuild and get back to a place where people are getting out, connecting with other people in real life, getting away from our screens. Because one of the things that I do see is obviously there's more polarization amongst folks politically and ideologically throughout our community. And I think when you really sit down, majority of people, we want the same things out of life, right? But there's a lot of powers trying to separate us and talk about all the things that we have different about us and that we believe in what we want. And I think if we can get people together to talk about solutions and how we can work together to make our communities the place that we all want to have for our next generation, then we can start looking past what might make us different and look at the many, many, many things that make us look the same and the things that we want in the long term. And so if we can just get people in the same room together, sitting down, looking each other in the eye, it'll be a better path forward. In my previous work as, like I said, a bike and pedestrian advocate, I always say, you've been in your car before, and how quick are people to yell things at you, maybe give you a middle finger in a car. But if I'm on a bicycle, if I'm in the grocery store and I accidentally bump somebody with my cart, that's never happened to me one time. There's a difference. Every layer that we put between us adds another option or increases the likelihood of someone to say something they would never say to your face, right? And so if we can just get people back together, connecting in real life, we'll all be better for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great perspective. I think a lot of us don't even really realize that that's the case, but it truly is when you lay it out like that. It's so true. Yeah, that's really, really good. I know Emily had a couple questions for you.
I did. How do you think Lima, Allen County stand out in Northwest Ohio?
Well, throughout Northwest Ohio, I think what makes us different is our unique demographics. So Lima and Allen County, our number one business is agribusiness. Not a lot of people talk about that, but we have this strong agricultural base, and then we have a strong manufacturing base. We're also centrally located along 75 and 30 to really be a place where people can move and connect very easily. So not to mention, we have a great cost of living, and we have a great education system and secondary education system. So we have a lot of things going for us here in Lima and Allen County, and we need to lean into those things so that we keep touting the positive message and all the great things that we have here. Because if you've been to downtown Lima recently, you see the transformation that's kind of taking over our community. But if you haven't been to downtown Lima and if you haven't visited some of those, major projects that are happening, you might not be aware. So what I encourage folks that, if you live in Ottawa or Kenton or Walpock and you haven't been to Lima for a while, come and visit us. See what's happening here, because there's a lot of great things that I think folks would want to be a part of if they've experienced it recently.
Yeah, and then what would you tell someone who is on the verge or wants to start their own local small business around this area?
Don't hesitate. So we've got some wonderful resources that are free to people to get their businesses started. So be it through the Rose State College Small Business Development Center, which offers some free small business and entrepreneur startup assistance there at the Chamber. We partner with them, so you can actually come to the Chamber offices for those services. We also have the Walter C. Potts Entrepreneur Center, which is a minority-based entrepreneur center. So we have, I think, some really great free services to help folks get their business plan, get their EIN numbers to get started. But now is the best time. There's always a time in the future that you'll wish you were back at this moment and doing the things that you thought you would do. So, if I have any advice, it's don't hesitate. Do your due diligence and get started on that process. But reach out to the people that are there to help, and don't do it alone. There are plenty of folks out there to help. There's people that are willing to give their advice, their guidance, and quite frankly, mentorship. And I think if you're a young person that wants to do that, there's a lot of business leaders and entrepreneurs that would be happy to take you under their wing and show you the right direction.
Yes, and my last question, is how do you think the community can help local businesses, small businesses, and help Lima grow?
Well, I think what we can do is support those locally owned businesses, right? And to support folks that are part of Chamber of Commerce. Amazon doesn't need our money. Let's just face it. By staying local, buying local, support the folks that are building those small businesses, bringing restaurants to town, throwing events. It's important that we keep our money here. every dollar, that's spent locally, much higher percentage stays here. Figures between 69 cents to 83 cents stay local for every dollar spent. Now, when you're purchasing stuff online, all those dollars go right out of our community. Many times we're not getting the tax revenue as well. So, put your money, to local businesses, to local causes, because those dollars stay here locally. The folks that own those businesses, live, learn, work here as well. And so the ripple effect can really be strong when we keep our dollars local.
It's amazing. One thing that you pointed out that I really want to highlight is, if somebody's looking to do, a startup or, a business or whatever the fact is, there are so many people, like you said, in our community that are so happy and willing to help in any way possible. And a lot of times it's even just a simple conversation. I've gone to so many people locally, local business owners, local leadership. Not one single time have I been turned down for somebody even just helping me out in a conversation, me asking for advice. Not one person has said, no, I don't have time or anything like that. People in our community are so excited to help and just make Lima a better place, and even all the businesses through the chamber, they all kind of partner together and, all tides raise the ships,
Yep.
So it's just, I just can't say enough about our community and the people in our community. They're amazing.
I would just say here to that, because from a mentor standpoint, we have so many great leaders, and they do not hesitate when asked for advice. And typically, they'll go well beyond. So after you ask for that piece of advice, depending on what you're doing, they're going to probably provide some other support as well.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I think we can head kind of into our final segments here. These are just quick fire questions.
All right.
So just answer right away as fast as you can. So to start the day, tea or coffee?
To start my day to my coffee, I'm adding
tea or coffee.
Oh, tea. Oh, coffee. 100% coffee.
All right. What do you add to it? That's what you were going to say.
So, Splenda and a lot of cream. So I have a sweet tooth, and I start off with about 24 ounces of Java every day. My wife used to work at Starbucks and ran Starbucks down in Nashville, and then a store in Lima. And so at one point I was having about 4 shots of espresso every day, but so I've really tampered that down.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So you just have one coffee now. That's
right. Yeah, and try to have no caffeine after lunchtime these days.
And good for you. All right, this is going to be a really tough one, but you have to answer. I'm not letting you cop out. Your favorite local business?
So I'm going to be honest here. So if you know much about me, I am a vinyl record collector. So Gromy's tapes and CDs is my favorite local business, and has been for a long time, back to my youth, when he was actually in a small little room about twice as big as we're here in the studio at the former Igloo drive-through by the old Squirty Worm. And so, before I could drive, we would be going over to Gromy's to buy CDs and DVDs, and I still love going to Gromy's, and it's still my favorite local business.
Where's he located at now?
He's actually right here in the Central District, back kind of close to the Social House. So there was a recent fire at his prior location on Robb Avenue, and we're happy to have them as chamber members. It's my favorite business.
Awesome.
But I have a lot. I would be remiss if I didn't say I like so many of our locally owned businesses, and we were just at Milano's last night, but so we have a tremendous amount of locally owned restaurants and businesses, and quite frankly, I could go a number of different directions on my second place.
Right. I figured that's why I was going to make you pick one. So
I know.
What is one word that you would describe entrepreneurship as?
Courage. It takes a lot to hang your own shingle, and many times they say, hey, it's going to be easy. You're your own boss. Well, every customer that you have becomes your boss pretty soon, and there's nobody else to lean on. It's you as that sole proprietor, entrepreneur. So I think courage really wraps up what those guys are, and gals are trying to do.
Awesome. What is the biggest business myth?
Oh, the biggest business myth is that hard work alone is going to pay off. I think sometimes luck, strategy, and insight has a lot to do with success. And being in the right, sector of business sometimes will matter. And I think sometimes they say hard work will pay off, and it will. I think in the long run, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be business success just because you're doing the hard work. As we see ever-changing business landscapes, sometimes things change, and something that was, look at some of the traditional media and what's happening with our three-tiered, media landscape. It's changed a lot, and so not to say that I love a newspaper. I love the Lima News, but as you look at Lima, newspapers across the country, you're seeing reduction and things like that. So it's just an ever-changing landscape, and I don't mean to pick on newspapers. So, like I said, I'm so proud to have our local Lima News, but there's just some industries that just aren't going. They're going the way of the dodo bird.
Yeah, I think with that, like I mentioned before we started the show, that I'm from Ada originally, and Ada Herald just closed. Is there ever a time when like someone comes to you as the chamber or at any point in the past with a business idea, and you're like, that might not be the best idea right now, or that might not be the strongest segment to go into at the moment?
I think that's actually something the chamber needs to be doing. It's important to say when there are ideas that we may not think are going to be very successful, for us to give that real advice. Now, we don't have the market cornered on everything, right? We don't have a crystal ball into the future, but I think if there's a business proposal that we don't think it's going to be successful, or there's things that need to be added, changed, or edited to that, then I think that's what we try to do. And so, the chamber wants to be a resource for our members for all things. And like I said, through our partnership with Rose State College, a Small Business Development Center, and the Pot Center, we need to tell people honestly what to expect and what things need to happen for them to be successful. If somebody thinks they're going to open a coffee shop and it's going to be, bringing in revenue in the first 2 months, we're going to have to say, let's look at some realistic expectations, and kind of bring them back to a place that they know how to be successful and have a clear expectation on how to do so. Because not all businesses are built to have ROI right away. Sometimes you do have to make long-term investments, and so some folks will leverage a lot of finances to start a small business, and if it doesn't succeed almost immediately, they don't have enough finances and assets to kind of weather those early storms and potential struggles. And so, absolutely, we need to tell folks what to do or how, give some advice, ask the right questions so that they can make the best decision on starting their business.
Yeah, maybe it's not like, okay, great, go do it however you want to, but it's like, okay, this is what you want to achieve. Here's how we would get you there.
That's right, and here's the steps that we suggest to do. Now, they still have to do the hard work, and that's what we also say to any chamber member. Your chamber membership's really as good as you make it. You have to participate in events in our discount programs to get your savings, to make the difference, to network your business, to add credibility, and to promote with the things that you're doing. So it's really the work that you put into it, but we want to make sure people are spending their time wisely and smartly, and not wasting their good hard efforts.
Yeah, and what are you guys, the chamber, looking for in its members?
From members' standpoint, we want good standing members that want to do the best business possible, right? That are wanting to be part of something bigger than them, that want to see us help advocate for them, that want to see themselves giving back and being part of what the chamber offers as both the 501c6 on the chamber side and then the 501c on the foundation side, and to really be part of our business community. The chamber offers so much to those folks, and so we want people that are just willing to be part of it, that want to make that chamber membership work for them, and really be a vested participant in our broader business community, not just a passive member.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of the final questions, at least I have, is what does the future look like? I know you have goals. I know you have some aspirations, maybe new programs. take us into the future of the chamber and kind of what you're envisioning.
Well, I think a big thing for us at the Chamber in the next few months is really looking at our strategic vision, right, with our many partners, our board members, to really hone in on what we want to do for the next 5, 10, and 15 years, to have that long-term plan, and to look at programs and initiatives that really are boosting our member productivity, their business, and providing education and leadership for them. And so I want to listen to our members, and we have ideas and thoughts, sure, on programs, but I don't want to just unilaterally do any programs and initiatives or changes at the Chamber without really consulting membership and our leadership through our different boards and committees. So this year is a part of listening and then addressing what that feedback is. One of the first things I did as CEO is I began a listening tour, and so still working on that, but trying to engage by the end of the year about 200 business leaders and members of the Chamber to ask them what issues they're facing and how the Chamber can really step in and be a supporter in all aspects of their business, career, life, and so we're doing that now. So it's about looking at that data and really having conversations with our community to see what they want and how we can meet those needs, because I don't believe in just making those decisions. As much as I have a lot of ideas and new programs that we want to start, if it's not something our community wants, well, we're not going to do it. And so really it's about listening and providing that roadmap to meet our member needs and desires.
It's amazing. Amazing. Any final questions, guys?
I think I asked all the ones I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same here, but it was really awesome hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate the time with each of you. This was really great. And I just, thanks for having me on the podcast and for all that you're doing. I'll just say on a personal note, Thermal Gard Window and Door did a tremendous job installing windows at my home. We're looking to have them do some more in the not too distant future, but the team up and down was tremendous to work with. True professionals. They were in and out the same day. So just thanks to all the things you do. Thanks for being a great member and for being a great business in our community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Josh, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Take care, guys.